Hello, I'm Roger Bisbee from the Skill Builder channel. I just want to have a little rant now about rubbish and getting rid of rubbish. It's going to be a rubbish rant, so prepare yourself for the worst. I had a little conversation with Robin Clevitt some years ago when we did some podcasts and we talked about rubbish, but it was a bit of a tame affair. We just kind of discussed it, but I didn't get really passionate. I didn't get really angry about it. And now I'm starting to get angry because it's just getting harder and harder and harder to get rid of rubbish legally, which means that we fall prey to all those guys who are roaming the streets with those high-sided pickups who are just going to take your rubbish away and dump it in a country lane. And nothing vexes me more than seeing rubbish dumped in the beauty spots, in people's drives, on industrial estates and all kinds of other places where you should never ever dump rubbish. Now, what's happened is obviously it costs money to get rid of rubbish, and the councils have decided that that money's got to be paid by people like us, the ratepayers. Now, if you trade waste, I can understand that perfectly, but the way that they try and decide whether you're trade waste is whether you got a van or not. So I had to get rid of a couple of sofas from my house recently, bought some new sofas. What do you do with the old ones? Stuck them in a van, took them down to the local tip. Okay, that's fine. Where are those sofas from? They're from my house. Okay, you're allowed to tip those. Well, I also had a little bit of hardboard in there, not much, just a few scraps of hardboard. So I put the sofas in the skip and I was about to put the bits of hardboard into the waste wood. Oh no, you can't dump that, mate. I said, what do you mean I can't? And he said, well, where did that come from? I said, well, it came from my house. Yeah, but whereabouts did it come from? I said, well, it was on the floor. Well, it's floorboards. You can't put floorboards in. I said, it's not floorboards. It's the hardboard covering over the floorboards before the underlay goes down, before the carpet goes down. I'm getting rid of the carpet. I'm getting rid of the underlay. Why can't I get rid of the bits of hardboard? Because it's trade waste, he said. And I said, what makes it trade waste? Well, you got a van. So I said to him, so if I go home and I put these little bits of hardboard into my car, into my boot, and drive down in my little old car, you'll let me tip them? Yes. And when his back was turned, I slung them in the waste wood anyway. But that single confession will probably get me banned for life from the tip. Now, I pay a licence every year. I pay the Surrey County Council some money so that I can drive my van into that tip. When I drive my van in there, I'm not allowed to dump trade waste. I understand that. But I can put stuff from my own, so I've got my hedge cuttings and a few other bits and pieces, and that gives me, I think, 10 or 12 visits a year to the tip, which quite honestly is fine. But when I go out and do a little job for somebody, supposing I've just replaced a sink or something like that for them, what do I do with the old sink? Well, hopefully the scrap men will pick it up, but they won't take the bit of worktop that it's in or the unit that's underneath it. Again, I'm stuck with these silly little bits of stuff to get rid of, and what I got to say to the householder is, well, I'm afraid you're going to have to get rid of that, because if I get rid of it, I've got to charge you for a skip or a biffo bag or something else just to get rid of that little bit of rubbish. So the best thing you can do, stick it in your car, drive it down to the local tip, and they'll let you in because you've got a car. But it's a bit tedious, isn't it? And when the customer's getting on a bit, maybe they're an elderly person, maybe they don't even have a car. A lot of people don't these days. And what are they going to do? How are they going to get rid of it? And once again, we come back to the guys coming round. I'll take your rubbish for you, missus, just £150. I'll have it all done lovely, fully licensed waste carrier and all that nonsense. And again, this is another thing, isn't it? That they buy a licence for the council. It doesn't mean that they're going to dispose of it legally. And if I buy a waste carrier's licence, it means that I can carry bits of rubbish around in my van. But how does that honestly stop fly tipping? It obviously doesn't, because we got more fly tipping going on than ever. And of course the councils have to then go out and shovel all this stuff up from the road, which is not a pleasant job, but you see it down the country lanes. Sometimes they block the entire road. They just drive along, tip up the back and keep driving, and the whole thing is just strewn across the road. Nobody can chase them because the road's blocked by the rubbish. So it's only the people coming the other way that will see them go past and then hit the pile of rubbish and realise what's happened. It's too late. And how do you prove it anyway? So it seems to me that it's another one of those bits of nonsense which are just falling into the hands of the criminals. It's made their life easier and our life harder. Now, what do I suggest? I suggest that the council just charge us us like they used to, we go in there, we pay the money. I don't mind paying 10, 20 pounds or whatever it is to get rid of a bit of rubbish at the tip. If I can do it legally and I've sorted the customer out and I said to them, it's going to cost me 20 pounds to get rid of the rubbish, so they give me the 20 pound, I'm absolutely fine about that. But this idea that no, you can't take it in here, you can't do that, and then again, if you're putting it in a skip and there's plasterboard, oh no, we can't take the plasterboard, you've got to segregate this, you've got to get rid of that, and so on. So you're picking your way through a whole load of stuff now just to segregate it. And when you do go to the tip, by the way, even when I'm dumping my own household bits in there, it's like the blooming Gestapo now, isn't it? That goes in there, this goes in there, and they're very rarely polite. Now, you know, I like the guys down the tip mostly, you know, but you do get a few who get a little bit power crazy and they start shouting and no courtesy whatsoever. So I don't think that's necessary. And of course, they're all wearing body cams now, so that if you do have a little altercation with them, I'm not suggesting you should, but if there's an argument, it gets a bit heated, they got the body cam and they can take a few weeks off with stress-related illness from dealing with the public. My mate Dylan, he has to book an appointment online to get rid of rubbish. Now at his local tip, you can't just rock up with it unannounced. No, it's got to have a slot, an appointment. Oh no, we want to ease out the congestion at the tip, so we can't have people thinking, oh, it's a nice sunny afternoon, I'll go and get rid of my rubbish. No, go online, book your appointment, then you can dump your rubbish. Again, if you don't have a computer, if you're not computer savvy, there's still people around, believe it or not, who don't embrace this technology. And what do? How do they get rid of rubbish? Here's the other thing, of course, the people that are running those things now, they charge you £7 a bag to put brick rubble in there, you know, like just a polythene sack full of brick rubble or broken tiles or anything like that. And again, not trade, just a householder going in with their rubbish, £7 a bag. What do they do with all that stuff? They chuck that in a specially segregated skip and all that stuff goes for crushing, so it doesn't cost them any money at all to get rid of it. In fact, they may even get paid for it, for all I know, but it means it's recycled, doesn't it? And again, you've got wood waste and that's recycled, and you've got garden waste and that's recycled. That's all going, they tell you very proudly on the side of their trucks now, oh, your garden waste and your food waste goes to make fertilizer and is used to make energy. So why are they charging us all this money for getting rid of it if it's so blooming valuable? I don't know what you think we should do about it, but it's clearly not getting better. We're clearly getting more fly tipping than ever, and some of that is asbestos, some of that is dangerous stuff. But even if it's not dangerous stuff, if it's just old sofas and fridges and all the other bits and pieces that people dump in country lanes and on industrial estates and even in people's driveways, let me know what you think, because I'm fed up with it and I think we've got to do something about it. Sometimes somebody has to show some imagination, show some gumption and say, my name's Roger Bisbee and I've had enough.